Hello everybody, today I'm just going to show you the second game that I played in France during my chess tournament. So before the game starts, just enjoy the fact that I'm going to analyze and give you all the things that I saw during the game. So consider subscribing to the channel and liking the video. Thank you very much. So my opponent started with f4. So I was pretty surprised. My opponent is actually 2000 rated, and I decided to play a pretty unknown system that is c6. So actually, I guess you can already see that on the board. There's only 5 games in the database, but I actually know this line pretty well, and my games aren't in the database yet, so I'm pretty happy with that. So he decided to play knight f3. I played d5. He played e3. So e3 is already something very special for me. Actually, I really thought that after bishop g5 that I played, and with the idea of pushing e6, I'm just going to have a better position. Bishop e2, I took, and now I played knight d7, and I'm just playing quite a good position. Right now I want to play e6 or e5 in order to have a pretty active knight in the center of the board, and e6 in order to play something very passive and pretty, pretty solid line. So knight f3, I played e6, d3, knight gf6, castle, and bishop e7. Why bishop e7? If I play bishop d6, I don't like the fact that he can probably just push e4 and win a tempo on my bishop on d6 because I'm getting forked. So I decided to play bishop e7, e4 takes, and e5. Right now, the idea of e5 is that he has an isolated e pawn because the pawn is not guarded by any other pawns. So e5 is a pretty good move, I'd like to say. But my opponent actually is, I don't know, probably someone pretty intellectual. Actually, my opponent has a doctorate, so it's a doctor in biology, so it's pretty intelligent, pretty smart guy. He went on e2, and I decided to play queen c7. Taking on f4 is not so great because he will just take back with the bishop, and he will have d4. E5. So it's not a problem. I will probably just go there, and everything will be fine because of queen c6 or bishop c5 check. But I don't want to let him to smooth. So I decided to play queen c7, and right now I will play either long castle or short castle. But I just want to see how he will like use all his pieces, because actually right now I'm already threatening the bishop, and if he takes I will just take back with the knight, and I will just have a pretty great knight in the center of the board. So he decided to play bishop g4. Bishop g4 is pretty sick, I'd like to say. I really thought that he would just trade or pushing f5. F5 for me was a problem because right now I cannot push this. If I want to push d6 in order to counter attack the center of the board, he can just take and open the rook on my king, and he will be faster than me because he has the light squares and I don't have my light square bishop. So for me, bishop g4 was actually a pretty dubious idea. But in every case, I decided to play a line which he probably didn't saw. I took. He saw this. Took and this. The reason why I took is that if I'm doing long castle, for example, he will just trade there, and after I cannot take with a knight, so I have to take with the queen and bishop f4, and I'm not having a good position at all. Or actually, he can just trade there probably this, and this. And after this is the same but worse because the rook is already coming there, and this is a problem. But okay, I decided to take on g4 and to play knight f6. The idea is that after you take on g7, this is the line which I calculated. I really thought that after rook g8, queen h6, knight g4, takes, check, this, and long castle, I was clearly better because the king is not safe. He cannot move his bishop. The queen is misplaced, but here there is a move which the engine actually saw because the engine doesn't know how to play chess. It is queen h6. Oh yeah, queen h6 is pretty dubious. I don't know what the engine is saying right now. Probably -2. Oh, it's pretty strong. No, queen f5 check. King b8 and f takes e. Yeah, this is exactly what I mean. The engine doesn't know how to play chess, so it finds this kind of moves. But okay, I guess I didn't saw this because it was actually pretty complicated. I mean, yeah, but okay, there's no problem. But he didn't took the pawn on g7. He decided to go on h3, and h3 we can already see that the position is not good for white. Why? Because the e pawn is isolated. It's only protected and guarded by the knight, and the queen is misplaced. I mean, I can do short castle. I'm not afraid of f5. Like, I mean, being afraid of attacks is not good. There is good and there is no good, like Pythagoras says. I played bishop d7. In the game, if, for example, you play a move like rook d8, he can probably just take. So after queen takes, this, let's say this, and short castle, we will have this kind of position where my king is safe because I castled and I have every pawn in front of my king. If a pawn was on h6 or g6, it would be a nightmare for me. But the fact that the pawns are here is actually giving me more space, and because there is no attack, I mean there is no concrete moves for white in order to take advantage, we can actually say that white has nothing. Right now d4 is never, d5 is never a problem because I can just go there, and right now I have the file open. After rook a1 I would just go there, and this is not a problem because I just take with the queen, and I'm the only one who has advantage in this position. Yeah, the engine does agree with me. So okay, I decided to play bishop d6. The reason why I played bishop d6 is that I don't know where I want to put my king. I just want to put pressure, and the e4 pawn is very, very weak, so I want to open up the position. So after a move like f5, which he plays, I'm just very happy that the pawn is weak. If you take there, I'm just taking with the bishop, and you see that strategically I have the best pieces of the board. If you go there, for example, you can actually, probably not right now, but you can actually already lose a pawn. So I don't know if I would take the pawn because the file would be open on my king, but you see, this is the kind of moves that I can already think of. Like if I'm doing a castle, I don't know how he will protect his pawn. So you see, he decided to play f5, but f5 is a problem because I have the e5 square, and he doesn't have I have the d4 square, and he doesn't have the d5 square. So I instantly played bishop b4. The idea is to put pressure on the knight, and after the knight moves, I would just win the pawn. The only move for me was rook e1. But after rook e1, I thought that long castle is a pretty good, cool move for me because I have the d file open, I have the black squares, the pawn is still weak, I will play rook e5, I will probably play g6, like king b8 and g6. The fact that the pawn on that the pawn is on f5 gives me more space for my king, and I'm never afraid of moves like g4 in order to play g5, because I can just play h6. Like this, okay, I'm very, very happy with the position. Like this. Yeah, I won. I'm just winning. So okay, I decided I wanted to play rook. I wanted to play long castle on rook e1, but my opponent made a blunder instantly. He played bishop d4 and bishop g5, and the reason why it is a blunder is because of a tactical shot. Actually, I'm taking the knight, and his idea was probably to take there. But the problem is that I would just put in check first, you move back, and I take the bishop, and I'm just a piece up. And you see how my structure is perfectly coordinated. So he has to take back, and I'm just taking the pawn with the knight. And right now, I'm just clearly better. I won the pawn. And what I have to do right now is to consolidate. I have to find a solution to every problem that I have. He played bishop h4. This is a pretty strong move, I'd like to say. Because in this position, if you go, for example, on e3, then I can just do a castle, and f6 is not a problem because I will just take. And rook takes, pawn takes is not a problem because he only has one check. This is this move. After I move back, there is no problems, and even though he attacks me, I can just defend myself, and I'm just completely winning. And if this, with the idea of this, then it doesn't work because it is a check. So I'm not afraid, and the reason why he played bishop h4 is because after castle he will play f6, and right now I would be in trouble, for example, or even rook takes right now, and I guess I'm just losing right now. What is the engine? Yeah, actually right now it is completely losing for me. So yeah, pretty cool. So I decided to play the move f6, and the f6 is not a good move, I'd like to say. For many types of position, f6 is actually a pretty tough mistake. But in this position, it's pretty important to play f6. This is actually the only move. My idea is that I don't want to short castle because I played f6. But the fact that his queen is on h3, the bishop on h4, that the pawns are doubled, and that my knight is so strong in this kind of position, this everything leads me to a pretty cool idea. I just want to do a long castle. Boom. This is pretty funny. Uh, after long castle, he was very surprised because yeah, there's so much counterplay. But I decided to play like the engine can't say, because the engine is always saying that yeah, this kind of moves is never a problem, because if you want to attack me, I will just put my king there and protect everything. So actually you cannot take. Okay, this is the first thing you have to look at. You cannot take because of this move. So after rook b1, which he has played, actually you can just take the pawn, but I just thought, yeah, you have to think like the engine does. If you want to upgrade and if you want to play better chess, you have to play like the engine, because the engine is the only guy who wins, and in which can win many games. So I decided to play king b8, and I wasn't afraid of all these moves. Like, I just defended my pawn, and you see now my pawn is guarded by the knight. My rook is on the d file, and he cannot attack me. He played c4 in order to play c5, I guess. I played h6 in order to move my rook without losing the pawn. I really thought that this is a good idea, but I just, yeah, for me this is good. But there is good and no good. Probably he can just go there, and I'm not even so good in this position. The engine does say that I'm better, -2, but I wasn't so. I didn't understood why I gave up the pawn. But okay, so I didn't play an engine move. I'm sorry. I played h6. He played queen h3, but you see he's actually threatening anything, because right now if I go there, then he would just play bishop takes, rook takes, and check. You see how check? For example, this is not a problem because I'm winning the bishop. So I decided to play. So yeah, so he didn't play bishop takes. He played rook takes. But the problem with rook takes is that it's not winning. After knight takes, which is forced because he's threatening mate, if you play queen takes, check, just over. So you can say, yeah, but I take with a bishop and I'm just better after c5. Yeah, but rook e8 and you're not threatening this anymore. And on this move I have queen b8, like in the game. And for example, if you want to play queen takes this and bishop b6, I can just go there. If you go back, for example, I will just go there and I'm just winning. And if you take my queen, I take back, and this is a winning rook and game because I'm a pawn up and all the pawns are weak, and I'm the guy who's controlling the d file. So actually, I decided to play king c8 because he took with the bishop. He played c5, I played rook e8, he played bishop b6, queen b8, bishop a7, queen a8. This is pretty important. I'm not going back because it will just be a draw. But I have a very tough move. The move is queen a8, and the idea is that right now he cannot move his bishop, and I'm actually threatening b6. The idea of putting my rooks on b7 and going back there, and he's just playing with a piece down. Like, I mean, rook f3 in order to move the queen, but okay, just play d4. This, and after rook e3, he just resigned. Actually, right now I can just put him in check, and this is not a problem because I would just go there and everything is collapsing. So I'm actually pretty happy with the game. I won a pretty cool game, I'd like to say. So actually I have already finished this tournament, and I played some good games and I played some games which I will never admit that I've played all these games. But in every case, I played all these games probably a month ago, 2 months ago. So right now when I'm watching them, I am just like, wow, you have understood so many things since all these games happened. So I'm pretty happy to see that I already played quite correctly, but I see that I'm playing even better right now. So it's pretty funny for me. So thank you very much for watching the games. Consider subscribing to the channel if you want some premium chess videos with theory lectures and so on. Just write to the email in the description, and see you in the future upload. Take care.